We continue the story of HTML. This time we will dive a little deeper into HTML waters. We will create a basic HTML5 template and save it so that you can use it for any future HTML project. This is our end result. We will decipher this code first and then type it later. The editor I use in this video is Visual Studio Code, which you can download from the internet for free. The link is in the description. The installation process itself is quite simple. Let's begin. The Doctype Declaration tells the browser that our document is written in HTML version 5. Doctype serves only so that the browser would not switch to Quirks mode. By placing a doctype, the browser will make the best effort attempt to render the web page according to the relevant specification. If we do not specify a doctype, the browser will switch to Quirks mode, which is not compatible with some specifications. The HTML element is the root element. It indicates where the HTML code begins and where it ends. If you don't know what an element is, watch the HTML in 2 lines video. The lang attribute indicates the language in which the non-editable element is written, or, in the case of an editable element, the language in which the user should write. Lang is the so-called global attribute, meaning it is used with other tags as well, not just HTML tags. Inside the HTML tags are the head and body tags. Within the head tags there is metadata, such as information about the author of the page, a description of the content of the page. Then within the head tags there is also a reference to an external CSS file. Within the head tags, we can also specify a reference to a JavaScript file in case we need to run a script before rendering the page. The meta charset UTF-8 tells us that we will use character encoding UTF-8, and character encoding is mapping a series of bytes into characters. By using UTF-8, we can in our web page use any human language and the browser will display the characters correctly and reliably. Just don't forget to set the file containing the HTML code to UTF-8. In the case of VS Code, this is already set. Meta Viewport is essential in responsive web design. If this line is omitted, the mobile browser will display the page with the settings for the desktop computer and the page will be seemingly zoomed out. Viewport is the visible part of the web page. The rest of the web page is not visible until we scroll. Width is set to the width of the device on which the page is viewed. Hence, width equals device-width, initial-scale equals 1 controls the zoom level when displaying the page. The text between the title tags is the title of our page. This is the text that will appear on the browser tab and as the bookmark name. We give a description of the page that reads a basic HTML5 template for future projects. We now define that the author of the page is WebTech. Of course, you will give your name here. OG is OpenGraph, and we use these lines when we want to share, or rather advertise, the content of our web page. That advertisement should of course be effective. OG:title represents the title of our page, and the actual title is specified as the value of the content attribute. OG:type represents the type of what we share. In our case, the type is website. OG:URL represents the URL of our page. I put there https://www.domain.com/samdir. OG:description is a description of our page. The actual description is specified as the value of the content attribute. OG:image represents the thumbnail of our web page, and the image is contained in the image.png file. On the page whose address you can see above in the address bar, there is an example of what it looks like when OpenGraph meta tags are applied for the purpose of sharing your page on social networks. Favicon is short for favorite icon, and it is an icon that appears on the web page tab. Favicon improves the user experience because through it we can more easily identify the web page, and also contributes to consistency because the logo that is on the web page itself will be displayed on the tab in the form of a favicon. Why two favicons, i.e. ICO and SVG? ICO is the format used to support older browsers, while most modern browsers support the SVG format. Apple Touch icon.png is a file used on Apple iPhone, iPad and iPod Touch and contains an image that will be displayed when a user of our web page places the page on their home screen or when they bookmark our web page. Href is an attribute whose value is enclosed in quotation marks. This value is actually the path to the resource, which can be a favicon or link to some web page, for example. The rel attribute tells us how the external file, in this case styles.css, relates to the current document in which the file reference is located. When the browser first delivers the CSS file from the server, it saves it so that the next time it needs that CSS file, it puts it out of the cache, i.e. from the location where it was saved, and that location is on your computer. So of course, CSS is delivered to the browser faster than in case the file is downloaded from the server, which is a computer located somewhere far away from us. However, if web developer make changes to the CSS and the browser still pulls the CSS file from the cache, the user will not see the change and the page may be broken. Therefore, when we make changes to the page, we can specify styles.css v equals 1.1 as the value of href, which the browser will understand as a change, and we will force it to pull the CSS file from the server where is updated CSS file actually located. Inside the body tags, we place the content of the page, images, tables, paragraphs, etc. And at the very bottom we write a script tag. JavaScript is a programming language that allows the user of our web page to perform some actions on the page. My channel has a playlist dedicated to JavaScript in which videos will be posted in the future. A reference to a JavaScript file can also be found as the last line within body tags. This is a good thing because in this case the content of the web page is first rendered, in other words displayed, and only then we move on to script execution, while in the case of reference within head tags, script execution would block page rendering, so the loading of the page would be slow.